Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TriStar Gym channel. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about a fight I am incredibly excited about. Islam Makhachev versus Alexandre, the great Volkanovski. Guys, I'm going to give you guys my odds for this fight. How I see this fight going. Guys, this one is a lot closer, I think, than people think it is. I think a lot of people are saying Makhachev. And nobody's tooted Makhachev's praises more than me. He's finished his last five fights. He's only ever lost one fight in his entire career. The man is a killer. But I still think this is a much more difficult fight than most people are anticipating. Volkanovski is a very, very tough opponent. I'm going to get into it. Okay, of course he's a very tough opponent. He's a featherweight champion. He's moving up to lightweight. Guys, for those of you who are not in the know of MMA, it's champion versus champion. This is my favorite kind of fight. Champion versus champion. If Islam Makhachev defeats Alexander Volkanovski, it'll be like when George St. Pierre beat BJ Penn. It'll catapult him into mega fame. And the same thing for Volkanovski, no doubt. Okay, but before I get into all that, let me tell you guys how I see this fight. I think it's 55-45 in favor of Islam Makhachev. I was thinking of giving it 60-40. I went through their footage. I just spent an hour going through all their fights. Okay. And of course, they have a lot more than an hour of fighting, but just reviewing the fights. Of course, I've watched all their fights many times over, and I just wanted to kind of review. I spent an hour reviewing. And Volkanovski's tough, man. He's tougher than people even understand. I'll tell you why. He hits often, he lands often, and he hits hard. He has two incredible elements to his game. He hits often, he's busy, and he hits hard. However, the biggest knock on Alexander Volkanovski, we got to be realistic, is he hasn't stopped anybody in a long time. He doesn't seem to have that knockout power. Now, how could he beat Makhachev? What ways could he beat Makhachev? Could he take Makhachev down consistently, pin him, control him, and maybe even sub him? No, he can't. He couldn't do that to the featherweights. And he didn't wrestle anybody that had incredible grappling and wrestling like Makhachev. Nowhere near. Some guys had really good wrestling. Some guys had really good grappling. Nobody had the complete package. If he can take Makhachev down, he won't be able to hold him. Makhachev will get out. Makhachev will outdo him on the ground. This I'm certain of. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit later. This I think we can all agree on. What other path to victory does he have? Can he KO Makhachev? Highly unlikely. Makhachev's been knocked out once. He hasn't been hurt since. And he's had a dozen fights since then. He got knocked out once in round one, real quick. He made a mistake, chin in the air, got clipped. Never happened again in his career. Okay. Never got wobbled again in his career. What are ways that Volkanovski can win? Not by top game control, not by submission, not by KO. He only has really one path to victory. What is that path? Outpoint and we're talking about the minimum. Okay, what's the minimum? If he can outpoint him 3-2, 3 rounds to 2, that would be the minimum. That's the lowest bar. Can he do the lower? Can he get past the lowest bar? If the answer is yes, well, he's got a shot to win. I don't think he can outpoint Makhachev 3 rounds to 2. I don't think so. I don't think he can get to 3, much less 4. Why? He will get taken down at least 3 times in this fight. In my opinion, it's at least 3. And each takedown will lead to a victory in that round. Makhachev is going to win that round. Why, guys? Makhachev's ground control is too strong. It's too dominant. His last 5 fights, every single time he took down his opponents, none of them, save Oliveira, got back to their feet and lived to tell about it. They all eventually got subbed. They all eventually got finished. Oliveira also got finished. He got out from his half guard pressure in round 1. He did a beautiful escape actually in round 1. He did a fantastic Kuzushi off balanced Makhachev and got away. Round 2, he got clipped. He got dropped. He got tapped. I've talked about it in the past. That katakatami, that arm triangle. Oliveira tapped immediately on that arm triangle as soon as Makhachev passed the half guard, started establishing pressure immediately. A black belt, someone who's been a black belt for over 10 years, tapped feverishly. He had to tap feverishly. Imagine how much pressure is in that hold. Guys, I personally rather go out. I don't think I would ever tap like that to choke. To a joint lock, yes. Somebody's breaking my knee, yes, I'll tap feverishly. Somebody's breaking my arm, yes, I'll tap feverishly. To a choke, what's the worst thing that can happen in a choke? You pass out. Imagine why a black belt that's so experienced is tapping feverishly like that. Let me tell you why. He's never felt that kind of strength. He's never felt that kind of squeeze. Islam Makhachev is far more special than most people think. Now, I'm trying to convince myself I should change it. I should make it 70-30 for Makhachev. But honestly, watching Volkanovski, there's another major element that made me raise Volkanovski's chances. If you look at Volkanovski, okay, he's a short guy. It's hard to double leg a short guy. Why? They're so much lower to the ground. Okay, I used to train with these two twins, Native American wrestlers. They were like 230, 40 pounds, 230, twin brothers, 240 pounds. And they were short, stocky. They were like 5'5", short, stocky. They were fire hydrants. Shooting on their legs was absurd. It made no sense. They were thick, they were strong, they were built, they were powerful, and they were short. It's tough to get underneath their hips. It's tough. A shorter man has an easier time defending against a double leg, single leg attack. Now, Makhachev is much taller than Volkanovski. Level changing. He's going to have to level change low. I still think he can do it. I'm not trying to say he won't take him down. I'm confirming with you guys that I really believe he'll take him down. Yet, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a little bit harder. Smaller weights move around a lot more. And Volkanovski is a non-stop moving machine. He doesn't stop moving. The takedowns aren't going to be that easy. They might end up being more challenging. Makhachev fought two shorter guys. And he scrambled with them hard. Davy Ramos, Arman Tsakurian, he scrambled with them hard. It's harder to sub a guy with shorter limbs. Believe me, trying to knee bar or arm bar a guy with shorter limbs, it's not that easy. Trying to get the rear naked choke on them. They're short and stout. Their limbs are tight to closer to their body. I know it sounds strange, but it's just not that easy to sub them. What would you rather snap in half? A long branch or a short, thin branch? Well, you have less leverage. It's the same thing when you're trying to break an arm. You can sometimes, in certain submissions, you have less leverage on a shorter arm. I think he's going to have more trouble with Volkanovski in terms of level change, getting underneath him, scooping up those legs, bringing him down to the ground. He's going to have more trouble than usual. He's done it in the past. He took down Tsakurian. He took down Davy Ramos. I think he's going to take down Volkanovski. Those two are very accomplished wrestlers. Davy Ramos, Tsakurian, very accomplished wrestlers. And he still got the job done. And he still took them down, but he couldn't sub them. Now, Ramos and Tsakurian, far more developed in the grappling realm, far more than Volkanovski. I know Volkanovski is a good grappler, but that's not his forte. That's not how he wins fights. Okay, he's a good grappler, but he's not a great grappler. Makhachev, Ramos, Abu Dhabi world champion, by the way. And Tsakurian, a lifetime long wrestler. Okay. I think he takes Volkanovski down. I think he controls him. I think he banks in 3 rounds at the very least. And I also think he'll finish Volkanovski on the ground. His last 5 fights, he's shown that he can finish, control. It seems almost hopeless to be underneath Islam Makhachev. I think one or two takedowns, he's going to get a finish. 1 or 2, maybe 3. Maybe he needs 3. But eventually, he gets a finish. Now, I just want to comment before I open it up to you guys on the striking. Pound for pound, I think if this was a kickboxing fight and they were the same size, same weight, I would give it to Volkanovski. Volkanovski's busier. He's busier. Islam Makhachev is not that busy standing up. If you guys notice his fights, he picks and pokes. He throws kicks. He tries to counterpunch. Yes, he landed a beautiful hook. He's a southpaw, don't forget. He landed a beautiful hook on Oliveira, but he's not that busy. He's conservative. He clinches, he shoots, he picks and pokes when he punches, when he strikes. He's a hard hitter. I think he's a phenomenal hitter. I think he's a hard hitter. I know he doesn't have a lot of knockouts on his record, but notice every time he hits people, he hits them, they get a very serious reaction from his punches, and then he shoots. Okay, so Islam Makhachev is not the type of guy who's going to box you up. No. The second he can take you down, he does it. Okay, when he knocked Oliveira down, he jumped on it. He could have stood Oliveira back up. That's what Gaethje did. Gaethje knocked Oliveira down, said, "Hey, stand back up. I don't want to wrestle with you on the ground. Even if you're half there, even if you're discombobulated, I don't want to go on the ground with you." Makhachev's not the type of guy. He uses his strikes, and he's a hard hitter, I could tell you. I'm watching the strikes. I'm watching his strikes and how people react to his strikes. He's a hard hitter. He has hard kicks. He has hard punches. However, the second he lands a hard punch, you'll notice Makhachev shoots. If Makhachev connects a shot, he'll throw one or two max, and then you're going to see a takedown. The other phenomenal issue with Volkanovski trying to win this fight is he has to deal with the incredible judo of Islam Makhachev. If they clinch, it's a losing formula. Every minute they clinch, it's a losing formula for Volkanovski. Why? Volkanovski is going to get more tired. Volkanovski is going to get wrapped up, and he's eventually going to get taken down. If they clinch for a prolonged period of time, Volkanovski will get taken down. I personally think Islam Makhachev is going to end up double-legging him because Volkanovski has a very good awareness about clinching. He's actually very, very smart. He controls the distance beautifully. He doesn't clinch for free. I think Makhachev is eventually going to tag him and take him down. Now, here's the other colossal obstacle in Volkanovski's path to victory. It's a colossal obstacle. I don't know how he gets around this. If Islam Makhachev kicks to the leg, he will get put on his back. So he has to box for 5 rounds. And Islam Makhachev is a good kicker. So Islam Makhachev will have, like I said, guys, if it was just a kickboxing fight and these two guys were the same weight, I would give it to Volkanovski in a kickboxing fight. Strict kickboxing. However, Volkanovski does not have the luxury to kick in this fight. If he kicks in this fight, he'll end up on his back. Makhachev is going to easily shoot a double leg on a kick, and it'll be Volkanovski on his back, and it'll be a nightmare. Don't try to guillotine Islam Makhachev. It won't work. Nick Lentz is one of the top guillotiners ever in UFC. He couldn't get close to a guillotine on Islam Makhachev. Makhachev is too seasoned. He understands guillotine too well. Guillotine is highly unlikely, guys. Highly, highly unlikely. If you guys didn't see the Nick Lentz versus Islam Makhachev, you will know exactly what I mean. Islam Makhachev was completely immune to the Nick Lentz guillotine. And Nick Lentz has one of the best guillotines ever in UFC. Ever. Okay? Trust me. I've had like 2-3 guys fight him. He's a phenomenal guillotiner. I've studied him well. He's a phenomenal, phenomenal guillotiner. Okay, guys, that's what I have to say about this fight. I think it's Islam Makhachev 55-45, but still, I am incredibly excited about this fight. Maybe Volkanovski proves me wrong. Guys, before I take your comments and questions, I just want to let everybody know. I promised that I would let everybody know. Ethan Creliston is giving a seminar at TriStar Gym on February 4th between 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. Guys, he's one of the best passers in the world, one of the best pound-for-pound grapplers in the world, one of my long-time students, Abu Dhabi competitor, Abu Dhabi ADCC competitor, and also one of the best back finishers in the world. If he gets your back, you're done. He's doing guard passing pressure. He's going to be teaching guard passing pressure and, of course, his patented formula for finishing on the back. He's one of the top finishers on the back. I think nobody can compare. Guys, if you get the chance, make sure to drive down to TriStar Gym. February 4th, we're having Ethan Creliston giving us a seminar at TriStar Gym, February 4th, 12 to 3. Guys, be there. Check the poster for the details. All right, guys, let's open it up to you all for your comments and questions. I'm only taking comments and questions on the fight, Islam Makhachev or Alexandre Volkanovski. Give me their initials in the chat room. Let me know who you think is going to win, and also your comments and questions, please. How do their fence wrestling abilities match? Listen, Volkanovski is a beast, man. He's a monster. But he won't out-wrestle Islam Makhachev. It's a matter of time. There'll be a few stalemates here and there, but as they exchange, eventually it's the same story. Makhachev takes down Volkanovski. I doubt Volkanovski gets any takedowns. I'd be surprised. I think, statistically, Islam Makhachev's only been taken down once in his entire career, and that was with Arman Tsarkarian. That's the only time he's ever been taken down. It won't happen in this fight. Unlikely. Unless he eats a whole really, really bad shot, gets discombobulated, and gets taken down. I really highly doubt Islam Makhachev gets taken down. Highly, highly doubt it. Islam will absolutely submit him. That's from just another genius. Just another genius. That's quite a handle you got there. I agree with you. I think it ends up in a sub. Can you address Volk's claim that shorter guys are harder to keep down? That's from Mo. It can be true. Okay, listen, I won't say, look, being short and stout is a good asset to have in wrestling. It's a very good asset if you're short and stout. Remember the great Marcelo Garcia. Now, there are the polar opposites, Braulio Estima, which I trained with for many years, a phenomenal athlete. He was long and lanky, and he used it. Look, when you see a long and lanky grappler, you know they're good at arm triangles. You know that they're good at leg triangles. You know that if they get your back, they're going to wrap that long arm around your neck, and it's going to be really sharp. Anything triangle, tall people are really, really good at. Short people, man, they're tough to hold down. The Granby rolls are really strong. Butterfly sweep is really strong. Harder to arm lock, harder to foot lock, harder to guillotine. They have many advantages. One of the advantages is, he's right, they're harder to hold down. Long-limbed people are sometimes much easier to hold down. Okay, sometimes, because there are other factors at play, but being short-limbed, being shorter, allows you to Granby, allows you to roll. Look, think about a gymnast. Gymnasts are generally short. Now, people used to think, oh, if you do gymnastics, you'll be short. No. Shorter people have a higher leverage in terms of relative strength, not absolute strength. So they have an advantage in gymnastics. They have an advantage. That's why the shorter gymnasts are short, because the vast majority of gymnasts. Now, once in a while, you're going to see a very tall gymnast that's very, very successful, because this person, he or she, has other attributes that make up for that tallness. But if you're building the perfect gymnast, you make him really small. Okay? Why? Relative strength. When they tumble, when they Granby roll, when they hip heist, it's a shorter range. They're turning on a smaller axis, which is faster. Okay, think about spin around in a circle with your arms out on the ice. And then as you bring your arms in, all of a sudden you start spinning faster and faster and faster and faster. How do figure skaters increase their speed? They bring their arms closer, faster and faster. The more you bring in your arms, the faster you spin. The shorter the radius, the faster I spin. Guys, their hips or arms, everything's shorter, more compact. They can rotate zigzag better than a taller person. Okay, guys, we're doing the fight. Islam Makhachev versus Volkanovski. Not a lot of Volkanovski believers out there. Makhachev is so fast. Volk turned the corner. He's different now. That's from American born. I think you're right. His last fight with Holloway, he did a lot better. The first two fights, I thought they were very close. I even gave them to Holloway. The third fight, Volkanovski showed he's another level. You're right. He has turned the corner. He really impressed me in his third fight with Holloway. Very, very impressed. Still, nonetheless, I think he's not going to be able to withstand the intelligence and the variety of takedowns that Makhachev has. Makhachev's top game is going to be way too much. I can't even think of somebody being successful on the bottom. The best they could do is defend and get back to their feet once in a while. Defend and get back to their feet. I can't even think of anybody who had Makhachev on the back foot. Maybe Arman Tsarkarian a little bit, but Makhachev was never in any real danger. Never. I wonder if Islam is working on the jab. That's from Fentanyl Floyd. Absolutely he is. He's got a good jab, guys. I know mechanically he's not perfect, but if you look at the result, how effective is he when you watch his striking? How effective is it? It's extremely effective. He's done very well in striking. However, he's mechanically a bit, let's just say, rough around the edges. And that's why people will kind of like note down his striking. His striking does the job. He lands, he moves well, he protects himself well, he has very powerful kicks. And the second he connects, he takes you down. That's the thing with Makhachev. He never shows a lot of striking. He's never been in a back and forth striking battle, because as soon as the opportunity for takedowns come, he shoots. Immediately when he lands a big shot, notice, whenever he lands a big shot, a big kick, a big knee, the second he smells the whiff of a takedown, he takes it. I think Islam doesn't need Khabib in his corner. He has slightly different style himself. Where Khabib is single leg takedown heavy, flamboyant style, Islam is judo-ish, trip heavy, defensive style. That's from Rajdeep. Well, I know, guys, for those of you who haven't heard, Khabib is not going to be in Islam Makhachev's corner. From what I understand, Khabib is pulling back from MMA. He's quitting it. He's letting it all go. I totally understand him. I mean, he's got a family, he's got kids. I'm sure it has a lot to do with that. Okay, and I haven't read up on why exactly, but I'm sure he's got to probably be home more. You know, think about all the fights, all the training camps, all the traveling, all the promo for fights. This guy's been away from home for years, not months, years. If you compile all those months together, the man's been absent for years. I hope he's spending lots of quality time with his family. Now, is it going to make a difference in this fight? I don't think so. Islam Makhachev has taken the torch. He's fully matured. It would be great to have Khabib or his father, Khabib's father, his late father, rest in peace, or somebody else that he trusts so much. But I'm sure he has that. Even though he doesn't have the prestige of Khabib, he's got excellent wrestling coaches, boxing coaches. He's going to have a Javier Mendez with him. He's going to have everybody he needs. He is fully matured. Islam Makhachev is fully matured. Now, here's the thing. He hasn't done many 5-round fights. He did he did finish one fight in round 4 against, who was it again? I know he has a fourth. He did a main event fight. Let me look that up. He did a round 4 once. But I have no question in Islam Makhachev's cardio. No question. Can he handle the limelight? My opinion, yes. Why? He's been preparing for this event, for this moment, since he was like 10 years old. Literally, he's been training in Dagestan with monsters since he's 10 years old. What fight was it he went to round 4? He has one past round 3. Thiago Moises. I was watching that earlier today. That's right. Thiago Moises. He finished Thiago Moises in round 4. Every other fight, man. Round 1, round 2, round 3 here. Triangle choke. This was many years ago before UFC. I mean, the guy is just a finishing machine. He has a couple of 3-rounders, but most of his fights end up by submission or ground and pound. You know, Bobby Green, he got ground and pound. But, guys, his ground game is just irresistible. Coach, in what way could Volk possibly win? That's from Ahmed Hamid. I covered that already. I think the only way he can win, the minimum. What's the minimum bar? Not the highest bar. Okay, highest bar is knockout. That would be the best. But he hasn't knocked anybody out in years. He doesn't seem to have one knockout punch power. The only way he could do it is if he edges out 3 out of 5 rounds, which I think is it's a very tall order. Very tall order. Why? That would mean that Islam only got takedowns in 2 rounds. Or do you guys think maybe that Islam will take him down and Volkanovski will just poof, come back up to his feet and then take him down again and just poof, he'll just keep getting up to his feet? I think that's what Volkanovski's planning on. Look, it's not impossible. It's just a very tall order. I don't think it's impossible. It's just a very difficult thing for me to imagine. Very difficult. Can happen, though. But I don't see it. OFC. Islam will follow father's plan. That's from JF. That's right. He's going to follow father's plan. Father's plan never changes. For those of you guys who don't know, that just means like find that takedown and put it on him. Okay, what else we got here? Guys, I'm taking only questions on the fight. This is from Mo. Can you... Oh, I did that one. That's Clifton Adams. Jazakallahu khair. Thank you very much for your generous super chat. And Jazakallahu khair. And God bless you as well. Thank you very much. I think Benil Dariush can be a worthy opponent for Islam. That's from Rajib. I totally agree. I really want to see that fight happen. However, for now, we have champion versus champion. Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev. I'm hyper excited for this fight. February 11th. Believe me, I will be watching the fight live. Guys, I want to see you guys put the initials of the person you think is going to win. I want to do a quick vote here. Guys, give me the initials right now. Volkanovski or Islam Makhachev. IM or AV. Right now. Let's go. Okay, guys, I would say it's 80% at least. At the very least. I'm trying to be generous here. At the very least. Dude Stir says, I don't know. No, you should know. I think I did a pretty good job convincing you guys Islam Makhachev. Okay, guys, with that said, I'll open it up to now. Anything, absolutely anything. How long did we go? We did 26 minutes on Islam Makhachev. I think the vast majority of you agree with me. It's going to be a Volkanovski, massive challenge for Volkanovski. Can he win? It's possible. I'm being generous, I think, today by saying 55-45 for Islam Makhachev. But really, I was originally going to come on here and say 60-40. And that's some of the biggest odds I give. But after going over Volkanovski's footage, I'm telling you, the person who said it in the comment earlier, you're right. He has changed. He's gotten better. His third fight with Holloway, he made a lot of changes. He's better. I was impressed. How would Prime GSP fare against Islam? What would your strategy be going into it? That's from DTM Rom. Guys, listen, I know I'm going to be biased here, but I would tell you, look, George would win. George would win that fight. Why? Islam is early in his championship career. Let's see what he does. You know, does he win? Does he stay champion for 9 years in a row? Can he do that? That's a very tall order. George beat everybody in the golden age of welterweight division. He beat everybody, and then after that, he went on to win a middleweight world title. After retiring, he came back to win a middleweight world title. He became double champ. This is not out of the reach of Islam Makhachev. It's not. We have to wait and see. Sometimes after a guy gets put in the limelight and everybody puts a target on their back, don't forget the champion has a target on his back. It's very different. Becoming champion and staying champion is a complicated thing. Staying champion, everybody's watching you. Everybody's watching you. Everybody's gunning for you. Everybody wants to see every little gesture you do. Will Islam's formula keep working for year after year after year when everybody's watching him? Everybody's expecting him to do his takedowns now after he throws a hard punch. Like, I'm watching him. I'm starting to figure out his algorithm. When he lands a hard strike, he shoots. It's starting to get predictable. Father's plan can go on forever. Eventually, he's going to have to throw a wrench into the system. He's going to have a back kick. That's where I'm answering your question here, where George just did better than him so far. Okay, we'll wait to see. Maybe Makhachev will add new elements to his game, like Volkanovski has recently against his last fight at Holloway. I believe he added new elements to his game. He's continued to improve. Islam Makhachev, to reach the level that George St. Pierre did, he will have to do the same, but that remains to be seen. So far, after reviewing his fights, I'm seeing Father's plan over and over again, which is great. But the plan of yesterday, the wars of yesterday, are not going to be the wars of the future. People will come in more prepared. The old tricks that used to work are now lame and boring. Believe me, guys, it happens in every sport: boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu. The guy who was unbeatable, at one point, people figure him out. Remember the Lyoto Machida era. Lyoto Machida becomes world champion. Joe Rogan famously says, "Welcome to the Machida era." Why? Nobody could understand what this man is doing in there. Lo and behold. Yes, he had a few victories, but he got dethroned and dethroned and dethroned and beat. And after a while, he went on a losing streak, got cut. Had a hard time in his career afterwards. Why? People figured out kinks in his armor. Those guys he beat in the past were trying a formula that works on guys who are not doing karate. They work on guys who are doing Muay Thai, kickboxing, wrestling. Now people started experimenting, seeing, hey, this works against Machida. And all of a sudden, it's not so hard. We could replicate that too. People figure you out over time. George St. Pierre was incredibly good at adding new skills and keeping you surprised about what his next move will be. McGregor is a great fighter, and he's a very dangerous fighter. However, later in his career, people started figuring him out. He wins early. He wins with that left. He sets up his left with his kicks. People start figuring him out. Eventually, especially Poirier, showed so many kinks in his armor. He's very sensitive to leg kicks. He doesn't do well in later rounds, etc. He slows down in later rounds, etc. People start to figure you out. So being champion for many, many years on end, like George did, is just incredible. Very few guys will do this. Very few guys. Guys, Adesanya, I was certain Adesanya could get to that level. And he didn't. He got dethroned. Let me look up real quick Adesanya's. Guys, like you know, I'm a huge fan of Adesanya. I think he's arguably one of the greatest of all time. Arguably one of the greatest of all time. We all know he recently got dethroned. Let's see. How many years was he champion? Let's see. How many title fights did he do? He won his world title against Whitaker. Okay, with a left hook. That was in 2019. Okay, so became world champion against Whitaker. Then he fought Yoel Romero, Paulo Costa. He lost to Blachowicz, but that was a different weight class. Vittori, Robert Whitaker again, and Cannonier. That's a very busy 3 years, guys. A very busy 3 years. So he won. What are we at? Six title fights. Very good, but not as many as George. Not as long as George. George was champion for years, man. Year after year, he was champion. I was like 9 years. Okay, so it just to show you how difficult it is, because Adesanya also is very difficult to predict. And of course, they brought him his worst nightmare. They brought him his kryptonite. They brought Alexandre Pereira, excuse me. His worst nightmare. The hardest hitting, most dangerous guy. And he was winning the fight. Like Adesanya was winning that fight. Guys, you can have a bad day, a bad round, a bad moment. Guys, remember how Pereira beat him. Adesanya threw a low kick, hurt his shin, did a backwards somersault. That backwards somersault ended him up on the fence. He was off the fence the whole night. Actually, that's not true. He got caught up against the fence once or twice, but he got out. But this one time, he got caught up against the fence, got clipped, kind of was dazed on his feet, got clipped again. The referee stopped it. It was a good stoppage. In my opinion, it was a good stoppage because a flying knee was coming. For those of you who don't know, Pereira's got the most dangerous scissor knee on the planet. The most dangerous. He could have seriously injured, especially in the position that Adesanya was, he could have seriously injured him. Okay, he could have left on a stretcher. I'm happy. I'm very grateful that the fight was stopped. Marc Goddard stopped the fight. Yet, if he didn't throw that low kick and didn't do that somersault, then he gets stuck up on the fence. He was in the last round. He would have won the fight. What an incredible turn of events. Incredible turn of events. But that just goes to show how much danger there is when you're fighting. You could be better than a guy. You could be outpointing a guy. All of a sudden, you're in the wrong situation and it's lights out. Okay, guys, I'm opening it up on absolutely anything. Do you think Vox Power changes at lightweight noticeably? That's interesting. That's from Sandman 2112. Guys, that is interesting. I was thinking about that because, we all know he was a football player in the past, a rugby player, and he weighed over 200 pounds, and we saw pictures of him. He looks like a monster. He's going to come in bigger. Yeah, I think he'll come in bigger, but not that much bigger. I mean, bigger, yes. That could be a major unknown factor. Volkanovski can walk around 20 pounds heavier if he wants. Look, when you watch him against Max Holloway, he looks dried out. He looks like a guy, and his cardio is impeccable. He looks like a guy who's dieting. At least that's what I see. I see a guy who's dieting, super fit, doesn't have an ounce of fat on him, has to probably eat a certain way, run a certain amount. He probably has to put in the road work. Guys, don't forget, if you want to lose muscle mass and you have no fat to lose, the guy has no fat on him. He's got to do these runs to kind of create some not a catabolic state. He wants to create a catabolic state on purpose, like when your body kind of eats up your muscle, shrinks your muscle. Guys, I came out with strong and stable running. I talk about it in the PDF. I do short runs. I only do short runs. Why? I don't want to lose an ounce of muscle. I talk about long runs. Long runs are good for recovery, or if you're trying to make it in your weight class. do long runs. Other than that, I don't do long runs. I only do long runs for fun. If you find it fun, I don't find long runs fun, but some people love running for long periods of time. I always say in the PDF, I talk about, look, okay, when you're gonna do a long run, here's the reasons why you would do a long run. 1, you got to shrink into your weight class. 2, you want to do an active rest, like you're too sore to wrestle, you're too sore to box, you're too sore to do weights, okay, we're just gonna run. We're gonna break a sweat. We're gonna circulate the body. It's active rest. You will recover faster by doing an active run, an active rest, a light run, than you would if you just lay down on the couch and watch TV. Okay. So what do we have? It's for fun. Some people like it for fun. I don't find it fun, but okay, there's fun. There's cutting weight, losing weight, and there's active rest, recovering. Okay, if your body's sore, go for a small run, light run. You'll feel better. You'll circulate the system. That's the major 3 reasons why I would do a long run. Okay, now I talk about it. Well, doing a long run, listen to your favorite podcast, whatever, your favorite playlist, and go for a long run, because long run is mental. It's all mental. I'm running. I'm not tired. My lungs are not burning. A long run is, like 60% effort. I'm just bored out of my mind. I like my runs to be short and explosive. I could tell you, Volkanovski, when he's fighting Holloway, he had to do long runs to shrink in that frame. He doesn't have to do that now. When you don't do long runs, guys, what's the number 1 way to produce testosterone naturally? Naturally. Don't go all, what's his name, that guy? Liver King on me now and start injecting yourselves. Guys, we're all natural. Natural, au natural. What is the number 1 way to produce testosterone? Short sprints. Short sprints. Now, some people are going to tell me, oh, coach, no, it's not. It's for those of you in the know. It's squats. Squats, yes. I would say squats and sprinting are equal. I would say they're equal. I can't say one is better than the other, but why I rather sprinting? Sprinting will make me less sore, and it develops my respiratory system. Squatting, if I squat, it kills my respiratory system. I'll get stronger. I'll get bulkier, but I won't do anything for my lungs. So for guys who do combat sports, sprinting is far better. Volkanovski's got the lungs, but he was shrunken down. He's not at full capacity at 45. I don't think so. No way. I could tell he's had to cut weight. It's not an easy weight cut for him. He might be more explosive. He might be faster than ever. This is a very good point that I didn't bring up, and I should have, because weight cut can really slow you down. I don't want to get into all the statistics about it, but believe me when I tell you, I don't care how tough you are mentally. If you're slightly dehydrated, just slightly, study shows it impairs the most elite soldiers. The most elite soldiers, when they run through tests, if they're slightly dehydrated, and they only dehydrate them by 2%, because it's considered unethical to go any further than that, just 2% results in 6% loss in performance. That's just 2%. Imagine Volkanovski walking around 20 pounds heavier, not having to cut weight that level. Because for me, he looks dried out when he's fighting 145. But still, look at his performance. Look at his ability to produce energy in the 5th round. It's incredible. He's an incredible athlete. Salam, coach, what are your thoughts on Kierkegaard and his justification of his Christian beliefs by trying to prove that God can only be reached by irrationality? Guys, I'm not a big Kierkegaard fan. I'm not a big... I know he's a Christian thinker. I know he's a great philosopher. He's very famous. I've touched upon his work many years ago, but I haven't read up on Kierkegaard in many years. Now, you've kind of poked my interest, because I do believe that... exactly what you said. Not irrationality, but intuition. I'm not going to go into it today. However, but it's interesting that he touches on it. I'm now interested to read his works a little further, but I haven't really studied Kierkegaard thoroughly yet. He's obviously a thinker I want to tackle one day, but there are so many out there. Maybe now you've piqued my interest. Thank you for that. That's from Wally, by the way. Hi, coach. How do your debates with John Danaher go, since his ontology is that materialist, reductionist position, as he stated on Lex Friedman podcast? Okay, guys, John Danaher is a materialist philosopher. I'm something else. Okay, I'm a type of idealist, but I'm not an idealist 100%. Okay, we've talked about it briefly. I don't want to get into our private conversations. Okay, but me and John belong to 2 different schools of thought when it comes to philosophy. 2 different schools of thought. And I'm 100% convinced that our school of thought is correct. Why? Materialism, guys, for those who don't know what materialism is, they believe that everything is chemistry and physics. That's it. Everything is chemistry and physics, period. It's just stuff out there. It's just building blocks and the void. Okay, there are different types of materialist thinkers, but the most popular is there's atoms, there's these building blocks, and then there's this empty thing called space. And these building blocks just smash around chaotically via blind forces. And that's what made up all of existence. The problem with materialist philosophers is that materialism, the very thought of materialism, is a metaphysical claim. They're saying that there is no metaphysics in the world. It's all material. It's all chemistry and physics. It's all building blocks in the void. Yet, matter itself, matter. I know it's going to sound weird. I know a lot of you guys are going to object to this, but you're wrong. Believe me when I tell you you're wrong. Thinkers have scrutinized this to no end. Believe me, I tell you. There are countless. Look, if I'm wrong, do me a favor. Write an essay. Write an essay and publish it, and you will shock the philosophical world that you could prove that matter is not a metaphysical claim. Matter is a metaphysical claim. So they're trying to deny everything. They're trying to assert something and deny it at the same time. It's a self-defeating position. Now, I've brought this up to John and he just didn't give me a comment on it. He just brushed it off. And that's what materialists do. When we bring them the proofs that materialism is a metaphysical claim, they just close the book. They say, look, I stopped there. I'm not going to cross-examine this. I'm not going to rebuttal. I'm not going to... It just seems too much for them. It seems like they have an emotional response. Now, I'll tell you, one of the most famous thinkers of all time, David Hume, arguably the greatest atheist of all time. In my opinion, he was the most well thought out atheist ever. He makes Richard Dawkins look like Mickey Mouse. Richard Dawkins he's not a sophisticated thinker. I know a lot of you guys think he's sophisticated. He's not. I'm telling you, he's not. He's a buffoon, guys. He's a buffoon who sold a lot of books, made millions off books, making irrational arguments. His central arguments in his book, are ridiculous. Okay, he's a good scientist. He knows a lot about science. I won't knock him on that. But then he tries to philosophize, and it's just wrong, man. He's just trying to use something that's outside of the wheelhouse of science, and he's just a beginner. It shows that he's a beginner. He's not a dumb guy. He's a very intelligent guy. He's very well informed. He understands the scientific method very well. He understands so much, yes, but he also understands so little in our realm. When it comes to deductive logic, he's a beginner. Okay, he makes serious, if he researched his book a little bit better, if he researched these classic arguments a little bit better, he wouldn't have done so bad in his book. Okay, but his book sold millions. Why? Well, he made sense to people. That's all you need to do. You need to make sense. You need to shock people and make sense to them. That's it. You don't have to be right. Okay, but I digress. David Hume, when they brought up the idea of idealism to it, he realized it's irrefutable. He said something, honestly, I found it was incredibly weak. He said, look, here's the argument of idealism. It's kind of hard to explain. It's really, really hard to explain. Okay, so idealists will tell you, look, how do you know you're not dreaming? Okay, this is not their argument, guys. I know it doesn't sound convincing. Just follow me here for a second, okay? They ask you, how do you know you're not dreaming? And David Hume says, look, there's a greater vividness to my reality than my dreams. Okay, so what he's saying is, look, my day-to-day life, when I'm not dreaming, when I'm assuming I'm not, everything is more vivid. When I drink water, it's just more refreshing than when I drink water in my dreams. When I eat a piece of cake, a chocolate cake, it's so much more delicious when I'm awake than when I'm asleep. He says, look, it's like I have these two worlds I live in. I live in this hazy, dreamy world where things are similar to what my waking life is, but it's not really exactly like it. He says, there's a lesser vividness. That's his claim. But look, when you're in your dream, okay, think about it like this. Here's a counter argument to why Hume was such a lame answer. Materialists always give a lame answer to idealism. That's what I'm trying to say here. They never give a conclusive proof. Never. And if you think you can refute idealism, please do me a favor. Write an essay and publish it. You can't, believe me. If you can, I will eat my hat I will come out here on my channel and read your essay and say, look, guys, this essay has refuted idealism. I would seriously, honestly, I would be shocked. I would be shocked. You would now start the era of postmodern philosophy. Modern philosophy is with Descartes. You, whatever your name is, John Doe, whatever you wrote, if you wrote that essay, if you could, and you published it, and you changed our minds, if you wrote it and you proved to us that idealism is wrong, dude, you'd be so famous in the philosophical world. You'd be famous. We'd go by your name and say that's the postmodern era. This man right here, boom, whatever your name is, John Doe, he falsified idealism. We would talk about you for thousands of years, forever. As long as the human race exists, we will talk about you. That's how big of a challenge this is. Okay, so back to what I was saying. David Hume says, look, there's more of a vividness when I'm awake and less of a vividness when I'm dreaming. Such a weak answer. Let me tell you why, okay? Imagine when you were, I don't know, 10 years ago, what you had for breakfast. Let's say you had a birthday breakfast at the age of 16. It was memorable because you got your driver's license that day. And it was a birthday breakfast. And you're thinking about it. And it's hazy. It's not vivid like it is right now. Well, does that mean because it was hazy, it didn't exist? When you were living it, it was full 4K HD. Same thing with a dream. When you're in a dream, it's 4K HD. It feels real. Everything's real. When you wake up, it's just a dream. It's just hazy. Same thing with our memories. Same thing with every experience. Same thing with what I had for breakfast 2 days ago. When I think about it, I had delicious French toast. It was so delicious. It was so hazy in my mind. Okay, guys, so nobody was impressed with David Hume's argument. Everybody dismissed it. It was like his big weakness, let's say. He did so good. He was so convincing on so many other points, but this one point he failed horribly. Now, I don't agree with David Hume and his views and all that, but nonetheless, he was a very well thought out thinker. When I bring it up to John about materialism, he just doesn't talk any further. He just kind of he just says, look, that's just what I think. That's it. That's all it is. Guys, if you're interested in idealism, I'm not going to go into the whole spiel, but read George Berkeley's works. Okay. He was one of the best Western thinkers to champion idealism. Okay. We got some super chats here. Sorry for the controversial question, but do you think Johnny Hendricks was on PEDs in his prime? He just dropped off after USADA. I mean, no disrespect to Johnny. That's from Mega Rory 1995. Guys, I do think he was on PEDs. Yeah, I do. Honestly, his drop off was so significant. When he fought George, he admitted to being 220 in the octagon. So he made 170. And he went up 50 pounds. That's insane. George was probably 185. The spirit, look, what's the whole point of the weight class? The spirit of the weight class, the whole point of weight class is two guys of the same size are going to fight each other. That's what it's about. Now, guys bypass the rules. Guys do all sorts of creative things to try to fight a smaller guy. I want to fight a smaller guy than me. That's me. That's my legacy. I'm proud of it. I fought a smaller guy than me. It's kind of weird. I think the commission should step in and say, look, the spirit of the weight cut the weigh-in should not be bypassed in any way. We give you rules and parameters to follow, but if you find some tricky way that we didn't think of, and it ends up two guys in the cage, one of them bigger than the other, it's not fair. It's not a fair fight. Okay, so what we're trying to say, guys like me who think like me, because I know a lot of people feels this way. You shouldn't do all these tricks, and it's just not, there's no honor in this. Yes, if I can lose some fat on my body and give myself an advantage because now I'm carrying more muscle than fat, that's all good, but we're both the same size still. We're still both the same size. Whether you're carrying fat, that was on you. But doing some kind of trick with hormones and HGH, and I'm not saying he did that. I'm saying in general. Okay, I'm not talking about John Hendricks right now. I'm talking about in general. I see guys trying to trick the system. And I feel like, do you really want to be the best that way? Is that how you want to be remembered? Oh, I tricked the system so well. Now I'm talking about Johnny. I felt Johnny did that a bit. It's kind of like you're tricking the system so well, you have this major advantage. you're fighting a smaller guy. So I think he probably did use PDs. Guys, I was on the call. Oh, here's you guys want to hear an interesting one? This is an interesting one. And I like Mike Dolce. He's a good friend, but he said something wrong one time. I was listening to one of his shows. He said something so wrong. I'm going to correct him now. And I do it with all love and respect because I love Mike, but he was so wrong. Okay, I was on the call. On the call, there was UFC, there was me, there was George St. Pierre's management, and there was Johnny Hendricks' management. No fighter was on the line. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of the call because it's privileged information, and I don't know if I can get in trouble for it, but Johnny Hendricks in an interview said he would do testing. Now, this is public information. Me and George St. Pierre took it upon ourselves to hire Vada, who's going to independently test both of us, both teams, both camps, and they're going to publish it no matter what the result. No matter what, even if there's a false positive, false whatever, the results will be published and the explanation soon to come. That's it. That's the rule. And they don't care. No matter what. Even if the test is inconclusive, they're going to publish it. That was music to our ears. Now, here's the thing. We got on the call, and the UFC didn't want to use this group. They wanted to use another group. Okay, they wanted to use the Nevada State. Okay, let's do both testing. Let's make everybody happy. And I offered to pay $10,000 from my own pocket. George will pay one test. I'll pay for the other. There's no money coming out of anybody else's pockets. Of course, George wanted to pay himself, but I offered myself publicly. I had done this publicly. I'm only giving you guys the public information. I went on Twitter, said, look, you don't want to do this company? You want to do that company? I'll pay for the other company. Let's do both companies. Let's do both. I wanted to make everybody happy. Test us under every test you have under the sun. Let's do it. No. Now Mike Jochi goes on and he says, no, they wanted to know, they're talking about our camp, what tests would be done. That's totally wrong. Totally wrong. St. Pierre never said one word. St. Pierre wasn't even on the call. Who was on the call? Coach Zahabi. What did I say? This is what I said. I said, look, I want you to do random testing, but can we, I'm ready to pay anything. I was trying to tell them on the call, look, money's not an object. Test us as thoroughly as you feel you need to. What test do you want? Like, how much is the budget you need? Okay. And they didn't want us to do it with Vada. So they wanted to do it themselves, no budget. I said, look, we want HGH testing. Because here's the thing, okay? There's 300 banned substances about, okay? It's a little less, but whatever. Maybe they're going to test you for weed. Maybe they're going to test you for clenbuterol. Maybe they're going to test you for, I don't know, caffeine even. I don't care about these things. How do I know that the guy who's testing is like not thinking in his mind, hey, let me test him for weed. They don't think Johnny Hunt, like they can test you for whatever they want, but we're not interested in this. So I was saying, look, we should test for everything random. Don't tell me what's on the test, but also test both fighters for HGH, human growth hormones. I want that on every test. Like, can I make the test even harder? Because I don't know what you're going to test for. You might test for Anavar. I don't think the guy's on Anavar. That was my contention. Then they were trying to spin it, and Mike was not on the call, so he might have got some misinformation. But his side was saying, oh, they want to know what's on the test. No, I don't want to know what's on the test. I never asked to know what's on the test. And I got a nasty email saying, oh, you guys want to know what's on the test? No, never asked to know what's on the test. Make your test as random as possible. And look, everybody can understand my argument here. Absolutely everybody. It's just that they didn't want to understand it because they didn't want us working with a drug test. Guys, what happened in the end? Ask yourself this. Only George St. Pierre got drug tested. In the end, we paid Vada to test George St. Pierre. TriStar George St. Pierre himself. Listen, he paid a company to test him randomly after having an agreement with Johnny Hendricks that he would do it too publicly. During an interview, Johnny Hendricks said, yes, I will do the drug test, any drug testing. Then when we got on the call, no, I won't do Vada. I'll only do what UFC says. Okay, I understand that. You're respecting the UFC. We respect the UFC too. We'll do UFC's test and we'll do Vada test and make sure HGH is on the table. We want who's asking for the most strict testing? Now, somebody out there, somebody with a degree out there, with a logics degree, tell me how I can be asking for a favor here. I'm asking for more scrutiny. Why? Because I know George St. Pierre is going to walk in the octagon at 185. I'm thinking, I thought Johnny Hendricks would come in 205. He claimed 220, from what I recall. He claimed 220, which is insane. So, long story short, we ended up only having George tested. Johnny Hendricks did not keep his word. He said he would take any test, and he did not keep his word. Why didn't he keep his word? You guys tell me. You know, I talked to Mike about this, and he said it publicly too. He's like, oh, I think he fell off afterwards because he didn't have the motivation. You know, he just wanted to win a world title, and after that, he didn't have the motivation. I don't know. Might be true. I just don't believe it. I don't buy it. When you have millions of dollars on the line, man, you find that motivation. When you have millions of dollars on the line, you have a title fight. You know, he won the world title. I believe it was it Johnny when he fought Johnny Hendricks. Johnny Hendricks fought Robbie Lawler. Then he lost the world title to Robbie Lawler. They had like a trilogy fight, and you find that motivation. There are millions of dollars. Nobody wants to go down like that. Nobody wants to go up a weight class and miss weight, then get stopped, and nobody wants to fall off like that. I don't believe it. I personally don't believe it. I mean, it's not impossible. I won't say they're liars. I won't say it's untrue. That's just Mike's take on it. Mike Doce's take on it. That's not my take. My take is that I think he was on stuff. Why wouldn't he take the test? Just take the test, man. It doesn't change anything in your life. And let them throw in HGH. Why spin it as, oh, they want to know. Oh, they want to know what's on the test. No, we don't want to know what's on the test. It's just so absurd. So absurd. And I know people out there are going to try to spin it. Oh, it's make the test random plus put this on the table. We want to make sure there's no HGH in anybody's system. I don't know if I can make it any clearer. Salam alaikum. About diet, I think science has not figured out even 10% of it. Best diets are cultural diets where facts have been established by error and mistakes for thousands of years. That's from Rajdeep. Rajdeep, I don't know why I keep following on your questions, but I can't tell you that I understand your question. No, food is a major mystery. Have we figured out the perfect diet? No, absolutely not. Dana hated GSP's fighting style before Khabib made it popular. That's from Alexandre. No, I don't think so. You know, George St. Pierre was worldwide the most famous fighter. He was the number one draw before McGregor. So actually Ronda Rousey and I think McGregor broke a few of his records, but still George has many records. And in his time, he was the biggest selling pay-per-view. Sigma, $1. Thank you very much, sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar. At AJ my gym doesn't promote people that don't do gi. That's from ANZDZ. AN. I would tell you that's really old school thinking. I promote people gi and no gi. That's so old school, guys. Nobody does that no more. Are clubs still doing that? They won't promote you if you don't do gi. Man, that was such a hot topic 10 years ago. Nobody does that no more. How do you get rid of cowardice? That's from Hello 1904. Such a great question. I'm going to keep this one short. Whatever scares you, do a little bit of it every day. Suppose maybe you're scared of swimming. Just go to if you imagine you're super petrified of swimming, just drive by a pool. Just drive by. If you're too scared to even walk up 10 feet to a pool, just drive by it every day. Desensitize yourself to this phobia. Guys, don't forget, a phobia is an illogical fear. I'm not telling you to go put your head in a crocodile's mouth to overcome your fear of crocodiles. No, you should be scared of crocodiles biting your head off. It should be a worry. I'm talking if you have an illogical fear. Drive by the pool, then work your way to walking by the pool. Get 20 feet away from it, 10 feet, 5 feet, 2 feet. Desensitize yourself. Dip your toe in the water. Dip your leg in the water. Dip your foot. Dip your knee. Dip your hips. Get all the way hip dip. Learn to swim in the shallow end. Go back and forth. And all of a sudden, years from now, you love swimming. That's how you face your fears. That's how you desensitize yourself from irrational fears. Whatever your fear is, give yourself a mild dose and increase that dose until you overcome it. Hey, coach, have you studied Al-Kindi and the concepts of stellar rays and how it explains how manifestation duas actually work? That's from Sigma. Sigma, I've brushed up on Al-Kindi. But I'm not an expert in Al-Kindi, but you have piqued my interest. I will look him up in that specific topic as well. Sigma, I appreciate that very much. It's a very interesting topic you bring up. I'm definitely not an expert on Al-Kindi, but I will definitely look him up. Your money has been absorbed into Coach's riches, Robert. I don't know what that means at all. Your money has been absorbed into the coach's riches. I don't know what that means at all. Coach, what do you think of Dana White's slap face thing? That's from Sahil. That's such a good name for it. Slap face thing. Guys, I'm sad for humanity. I'm sad for humanity. But I predict it's going to be a great success. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. But I'm sad for humanity. My heart breaks. Honestly, it does. Could Dominic Cruz have kept his style without injuries if his body mechanics were better? That's from Tom Green. Look, I think he could have been more injury-free for sure. You know, he was plagued with injuries, shoulders, knees, everything. He just had injury after injury. He has a lot of miles on his body. But if he followed the Strong and Stable for Life program, I think he would be injury-free. Yes, totally. Guys, I'm not going to get into Strong and Stable. You guys, check it out. Strong and Stable for Life. Go to jujiclub.com. Make sure to get Strong and Stable back. Strong and Stable knees. Strong and Stable knees is the greatest stability program ever. There's no stability program on it like this. Strong and Stable back is equally amazing. 80% of people have back pain throughout sooner or later in their life. Make sure you know how to take care of your back. What other super chat did I miss? Let's see here. What do you think about a tool that integrates YouTube, Twitter, and internet archives? Shilling for myself. I'm working on it. Mansura.ca. Wow, look at that. Guys, check out Mansura.ca. I'm checking it out right now. That's from Dre Foreman? Mr. Dre Foreman, my man. I'm checking out Mansura.ca. Let me check that out right now. That would be a brilliant. All right, look at this. Wow, look at this. Gospel of Thomas, the Son of God. Noam Chomsky, Napoleon the Man, Philosophy of Aristotle. Oh, big. Yeah, I know Dre. Mr. Dre Foreman is a big philosophy buff. He always comes on the channel to ask me philosophy questions. Coach Zahabi versus AI supercomputer. Awesome. Love it, man. Guys, check out Mansura.ca. It combines YouTube, Twitter, and internet archives. Love it, man. Brilliant idea. Coach, I'm 42. Can you advise how I can train? I can recover very slowly. Dance, workout, and music asks, I'm 42. Can you give me some advice on how to recover better? Guys, what is the number one top 10? If you had to top 10, what's the number one way to recover? What is it? What's the number one? Well, if you ask, I'm forgetting his name. Forgive me. If you ask Westside Barbell Coach, oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. Louis Simmons, before I even Googled it, thank God. Sorry, guys. Late, great Louis Simmons passed away in 2022. For those of you who don't know, one of the greatest strength coaches in history. No doubt. One of the greatest strength coaches in history. Louis Simmons passed away 2022. What would he say? Number one on his list. Anabolic steroids. Not sleep, not diet, not nutrition. No. Anabolic steroids. Guys, his works are incredible. He publishes them for free. He writes essays on every topic. I've read so much of his work, a crazy amount of his work. He's a brilliant thinker. What's the number one? Anabolic steroids. Now, I've never taken anabolic steroids. I don't recommend you take anabolic steroids, even though you're 42. What I recommend, number one, is don't overdo it, guys. Consistency over intensity. If you're going to start doing something, start with a mild dose. This is the best way to develop tolerance. Imagine you had to drink this vial of poison, and if you drank it, it would kill you. Well, guess what? Training is kind of the same way. If you train really, really hard, you're going to break bones, you're going to pop tendons, you're going to rupture ligaments, you're going to hurt yourself, you're going to feel crummy, you're going to destroy your testosterone is going to dip. You're going to feel like dysfunctional the next day. You're going to have cloudy thinking, you're going to be weak, you're going to be grouchy. The symptoms of overtraining are the same as depression. I'm going to say that again. The symptoms of overtraining are identical to depression. Now, imagine I have to drink this vial of poison. If I drink half of it, I get really sick. If I drink all of it, I would die. What would I do? Well, I'll take a sip. Every day I take a little sip. Eventually, I can drink half the bottle and I feel fine. Eventually, I can guzzle the whole thing. Feel fine. Doesn't kill me. Might kill you, won't kill me. It's the same idea with training. Start with a sip. You watch the movie, it's New Year's, you put on 10, 20 pounds. You're like, hey, I'm going to burn this fat off right now. Tomorrow, the next 48 hours, I'm burning all the fat that I put on. It took me 2 months to put it on. Christmas, New Year's, birthday. Oh, I got really fat. And now I'm going to burn it off in a week. Wrong. It doesn't work that way. If you do everything right, you can only take off 1 pound of fat per week. That's if you do everything right. Most of you won't. Most of you will lose 1/4 pound a week. Guys, when you train, it's all about building momentum. You start with a sip. You see how you feel the next day. If you feel good, take another sip. If you don't feel good, take a day of rest. Take a day or two of rest. Then take another sip and another sip, another sip, until you're drinking half a bottle. Okay? But this takes a process, guys. It's a process. It's like you're growing a plant. It can't happen in 24 hours. That's where people make the biggest mistake. So on my top 10 list, number one is don't overdo it. Focus on consistency over intensity. I talk about it in my book, PDF. When you get strong and stable knees, comes with a PDF guide, explains you the principles of strong and stable for life, how to be strong and stable for life. We're building a tolerance to training. We're not training to burn calories. We're training to build a tolerance. Every day we go in there, we take a little bit of poison, and then we see how we feel. If the next day we feel fine, we take a little bit more poison. If the next day we feel a little bit iffy, we take less. And we listen to our bodies. I talk about it in the PDF. No trainer can tell you exactly how many reps and sets. They're just guessing. That's the big secret. You guys want to know a big secret about training? Trainers are just guessing. You come into their office, they do an assessment. They're like, how much does this guy train in a week? They're like, okay, you want me to make your program? Okay, I'll make your program. Okay, what do you do now? What have you been doing the last 2 years? Well, I run twice a week. I'm pretty regular. And I do abs once a week. Oh, that's all you do? Yeah. Okay. Now the trainer is like, oh, how far do you run? How what pace do you run at? He figures that out. He guesses your volume and then he increases it by a little. Okay. Now, it's not rocket science to increase your workout by a little. It's not rocket science. Okay. Well, all you have to do is every day when you wake up, you gotta have to ask yourself how you feel. You move your shoulder, like, wait a second, my shoulders are sore. Oh, yesterday I was doing military press. Oh, my shoulders need a break. They're sore. The dose I gave them yesterday was enough to put them in recovery. They're in a process of recovering. Okay, I'm not going to do shoulders today. I'm going to do some grappling technique and I'm going to do some abs and I don't feel like I can roll. My shoulders are too tight. Okay, no rolling today. Let's do a little Airdyne. Let's give our body a little dose of Airdyne. You wake up the next day. You assess. Oh, my shoulders feel better. My legs are a little sore. I hit it too hard on the Airdyne. You know what? Today's another slow day. And then the following day, you feel, hey, I feel really good. Airdyne's not so bad. Legs are good. Airdyne's there's no negative contraction. I feel recovered. Okay, today I'm going to roll. I'm going to go live. And then I'm going to do a little military press, but just a little less than I did last time. I do military press again. Maybe the last time I did 3 sets of 10. This time I'm going to do 3 sets of 10 with a slightly lighter weight. And all of a sudden, my shoulders feel good the next day. Oh, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give them another dose. A little stronger one this time. See what the feedback is. The idea is to train with just a small amount of soreness, very small amount of soreness or tightness, very small amount. The minimum dose you can create, not the maximum, the complete opposite of what people do. Okay? That is the secret to training for life. Now, my friend here is 42. He's saying, look, I worked out and I'm in pain the next day. I feel miserable. Yeah, it's not good for you to do that. You're going to lower your testosterone. If you increase cortisol, if you increase inflammation, you increase cortisol. Cortisol suppresses testosterone. Guys, we want maximum testosterone. You got to train the right amount and you got to eat a lot. You got to eat well. Not a lot. You got to eat well. And I've noticed that eating more meat, guys, has put on more muscle. You guys know I've been flirting with carnivore diet. I've put on more muscle. That's what I love about the diet. I used to have the muscle I have on now. I used to work really hard on the weights. Now I don't have to work so hard. That's which I love because it gives me more time to do mixed martial arts, grappling, wrestling, boxing, etc. I don't have to worry about losing muscle because when you do a lot of martial arts, you get skinny, you get scrawny. You lose muscle. Not the case now. I'm eating more meat, muscle staying on. I do my weights, yeah, but I don't have to go so hardcore on it. Okay, guys, I hope that helped. What time is it now? Okay, we've done over an hour. Guys, I'm going to finish this up. We're coming on the tail end of the show. Mr. Joe TRT overtrains like crazy. That's from Oh Really? Yeah, guys, if you're on steroids, you can train like a madman. That's what steroid does. Steroids replenish your testosterone. Why do you feel so crummy the next day? Because your body's in recovery. You gave a lot of work to your body to do. Your body has to take a lot of the nutrients, rebuild those muscles. It has to overcome the inflammation. It has to produce more testosterone than you spent. It has to go through what a phase we call supercompensation. If you're injecting steroids synthetically, all that is taken care of. The next day you wake up, you feel fine. You have more testosterone than you did before you worked out. That's the whole beauty of PEDs. However, word to the wise, you can have many diseases arise from this, and you could lose your testicles. Don't forget, you can lose your testicles. Listen carefully to me. If you take steroids synthetically, your testicles no longer need to produce testosterone. If you stay hooked on it for too long, if you don't go through a post-cycle treatment, if you don't get off the pony ride, you'll eventually shrink your testicles. Think about that. Okay, that's why Coach would never touch a steroid. What else we got here? The coach has his own Mandela effect now. That's from Alexandre. Alexandre, that's not what Mandela effect means. Missed my super chat. That's from Jacob. Really? Did I miss a super chat? Damn it. Okay, hold on a second. Salam, coach. Big fan. Thank you. What do you think about the video of Dana White and his wife fighting? Guys, I mentioned this in my last podcast, but I'll just briefly touch on it. I'm really happy he apologized. There's no need to hit a woman. He says it all the time. I always was backing him up on it. Don't hit your woman. You don't need to hit your woman. And lo and behold, he did it. He seems very regretful. His wife seems to have forgiven him. If she's forgiven him, I've forgiven him. She slapped him first, but that's no excuse. Guys, a man hitting a woman and a woman hitting a man is two separate things. The guy's built like a fridge. They know White is a powerhouse, guys. He's way too big, too strong to be slapping his woman, okay? I'm happy the way he handled it. He apologized. I believe he's sincere. Now, if he does it again, that'll be a different story. But I'm not gonna talk about it any more than that. Okay, for me, it's done. He apologized to his wife. His wife accepted it. For me, it said, look, there's nobody more you love than your wife, but there's also nobody you want to slap more than your wife. I hate to say it. Okay, I love my wife, but guys, if you've been married a long time, look, I've never hit my wife. I will never hit my wife. I will never slap my wife. There's no need for that. But I'm just saying, the person that you spend the most time with can also drive you crazy. Okay, it's just, if you guys have been married for a long time, you know what I'm talking about. You've thought about it, but you never did it. But you thought about, oh man, but you would never do it. Why? When you're in each other's space all the time, we can get on each other's nerves. It's normal. Guys, TriStar is such a big group. Sometimes I feel like that. There's so many people on the mat. We're rolling, we're bumping into each other. It's like and I'm like, I always remind myself, breathe. It's good to have but you know, you see the same people every day. Sometimes we can have a little friction between two people. Not me necessarily, but I can see two people having friction. I try to, when you spend a lot of time with somebody and you're always in each other's spaces, yes, you're friendly, you love each other, but at one point, like, you had enough of this person's face for today. It's normal. Now, hitting there's no excuse. I'm not making an excuse for hitting, of course not. But what I'm trying to say is, the person you love the most also sometimes is the person you. And I feel, look, if his wife forgave him so quickly, and I heard she made a very positive statement, it tells me, look, they were just stepping on each other's toes, and he took a really bad action. I really sincerely believe it won't happen again. I really do. Johnny Hendricks used to eat Whata burger during fight camps. I don't know what that is, but did you know Ibn Arabi was called Plato's son? That's from Seneca Says. Yes, actually I did. I've heard that before. I'm very familiar with Ibn Arabi's work, yes. Okay, what else we got here? What are your thoughts on Mullah Sudra Suhrawardi or Islamic Neoplatonism in general? By the way, there has been a big recent awakening of oneness. That's from Hadi Hamad. Let me look up Mullah. I don't know Mullah Sudra Sawardi. I don't know this gentleman actually. Search with Google. Sawardi, Persian. Of course he's Persian. Shia Islamic mystic, philosopher, theologian, and alim, which means scholar, who led the Iranian cultural renaissance in the 17th century. Oh, very interesting. Okay, so he's after the Golden Age. Let's see. What is Sawardi's philosophy? In his philosophy of illumination, Sawardi argued that light operates at all levels and hierarchies of reality. Light produces immaterial, substantial lights, including immaterial intellects, angels, humans, and animal souls, and even dusky substance, such as bodies. Okay, well, listen, I'd love to hear his rationale for all this. That's just his basic statement. I will look him up. I'm messaging it to myself right now as we speak to make sure I don't forget him. All right. Message sent. And I will look him up later. Looks like a very interesting thinker. Okay, guys, let's end up on a fun note and wrap this one up. Hope you guys had as much fun as I did. Missed my super chat, coach. Man, did I miss another super chat? Damn it. Guys, I hate when people send money and I miss their super chat. I feel really guilty about that. I was wondering, what is your general view on the Jafari school of thought? I like to consider them our brothers in Islam. However, I feel there is so much hatred for some members of Orthodox Islam. I'm not familiar with Jafari school of thought. Let me look that up. Again, guys, I'm really disappointed in myself today. Jafari school of thought. Okay, there's Hanbali, Maliki. It's comparing them to Maliki, Hanafi, Shanafi. No, it's not that. Jafari, what's Jafari? Okay, here we go. Brief overview of Jafari school of thought. Okay, this is really long and in depth. I'm going to have to check it out. They comprise 23% of Muslims. Oh no, it's comparing them to Hanafi, Maliki. Okay, it's a jurisprudence school of thought. Okay, it's a school of fiqh. Okay, no, forgive me. Pardon me then. It's a school of fiqh. Okay, no, I haven't studied this particular school of fiqh. I'm going to have to look into it. My apologies again. Okay, guys, what else do we have here? Okay, guys, please, no more super chats. Little dirty, thank you very much. Very appreciated, but please, no more super chats. What are your thoughts on training daughters? That's from Kidu Japo. My daughter's young. She's not super interested in martial arts. Of course, I've trained her a little bit, but she kind of doesn't seem to have much interest. She has more interest in gymnastics, so I train her more in gymnastics. But I really want my daughter to at least get a blue belt in jiu-jitsu and a blue belt type level of competence in striking arts, Muay Thai, boxing, kickboxing, just so she can at least defend herself. But she's not in love with martial arts at all. And she loves to roughhouse. Like if we roughhouse, she'll jump in. But when you try to teach her technique, she's like, whatever. Like this makes no interest to her. But she loves to roughhouse, that's for sure. Snowball fight, sword fight, wrestling. Yeah, she loves it. She's a bit of a tomboy, but not interested in technique. You know, in my mind, it's because of this. Women never feel the sense of danger. You know, if you put men in a room and we all know that there's a possibility of violence. Whatever we're doing. If we're playing cards, if we don't know each other well and we're in a public area, We're in a restaurant. We're driving. There's always a possibility of violence. If somebody feels disrespected, these two men might start fighting. Women, on the other hand, the possibility of violence is very, very, very rare. So like my sons are very interested in fighting, very interested in training. 95% of my gym is men. 95% of my gym is men. Why? Men want to learn how to defend themselves because men are really programmed for two major things. One, providing, and two, defending. Providing and defending. Providing and fighting. That's the honest truth. People are going to tell you it's not true. People out there are going to tell you, no, there's equality in every which way. It's a total lie. And I can never lie to you guys. And I know 99% of my listeners are men. I will never lie to you. I don't care how woke generations become. I don't care how wise people think they are. At the end of the day, men must master two functions. You have to be able to provide, and you must be able to fight. Look at old Zuckerberg. Look at Zucky. You know, Zuckerberg invented Facebook. And Facebook, man, I can't stand Facebook. Okay? I can't stand Facebook. It's too it's too much information for my brain. Like if I go on Facebook, I'm really quick about it because I know I could lose 3 hours of my day. I'm too busy. But even Zuckerberg, a billionaire, he's worth billions. Even Zuckerberg started doing MMA. It's hilarious. I find it. Don't get me wrong. I want to encourage him. I think it's great that he's doing MMA. But it's amazing. The guy's so rich is going to get down and dirty now. Get on the floor. Get choked. Get slammed on the ground. Fight. Get punched in the face. He's a billionaire. He'll never have to see hand-to-hand combat in his entire life. He can have 24 hours security. The most dangerous guys in the world surrounding him 24 hours a day. Why is Zuckerberg putting on MMA gloves, getting smacked around by some guy, getting choked, getting pinned on the ground? Why do you think Zuckerberg is doing that? Because in his heart of hearts, in his mind, in his deepest psyche, he knows he needs to learn how to fight. Why? Because that's what men do. When he's with his woman is wondering, could this guy protect me? Or is he going to call upon somebody who's going to protect me for him? That's the truth. That's what's happening in the background, guys. In the woman's brain, in a man's brain, that's what's going on. Why do women want men who are tall? Taller you are, the more you can protect me. Why do women like men with resources? Guys, don't dare challenge me on this. There's countless proofs that women are attracted to men with resources. One famous study, they took 100 pictures and showed it to women. And they had the women rate the man on 10. And in the picture included a short biography. If the biography, the more successful the biography, the more higher the rating. And then they switched the biography. So the guy who got a 7 on 10, they switched his biography with something far more successful. The guy has far more resources, access to resources. All of a sudden, women found him more attractive. Same picture. The woman didn't remember that guy. They saw 100 pictures. Now they shuffled that same guy in a whole another stack. The woman sees the same guy again, not remembering. This time they give him, on average, women give him a higher score. Why? Your biography, your ability to produce resources is attractive to women. And I don't fault them for it. It's a good thing. Why? Guys, women, when they're pregnant, they're vulnerable. They need a guy they can trust, who can provide and protect. Don't ever kid yourself about this. Ask yourself, why are the Ukrainians fighting? They're fighting to protect their land. What's the first thing they did? They evacuated their women. What is the first thing that they did? They evacuated their women. There's only about 15% of Ukrainians right now fighting that are women. And by and large, they're going to do certain jobs. They're not going to go fight necessarily on the front line. Why? That would be disastrous. It would be disastrous. Why? God forbid one of those women get captured. What do you think is going to happen? We all know what's going to happen. It's a dark reality. It's a dark reality we got to live with. Guys, for those of you who love history like me, when you read history, unfortunately, there's a lot of rape in history. A lot. There's a lot of killing and a lot of rape. History, human history, guys, is one giant bloodbath. And unfortunately, it doesn't stop there. It's an orgy of rape. It's non-stop rape. Kill, murder, rape. Man was incredibly violent. Human history was incredibly violent. And things haven't changed. Yes, we're in the most peaceful era in history. Now today, and I'm very grateful for it. Believe it or not, we're in the most peaceful era in history. However, the Ukrainians have their enemies at their door. What's the first thing they do? And guys, don't forget, the Ukrainians are incredible boxers, wrestlers, judo, all combat sports. They never really went woke, the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians were they're Orthodox Christian. They're hardcore. They train, they fight, they're tough. They win titles in every sport. They're still manly. They're still manly. They're still Orthodox Christian. And when the enemies came at their door, guess what they did? They took on a superpower. And from what I understand, they're doing really well. But here's the thing. They didn't kid themselves. They didn't say, no. We're going to evacuate. 50% of the population that evacuates is going to be male and female. We're going to make it. They didn't do that. That would be absurd to them. Why? They know the realities. They're honest. Men are made for war. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever lose touch with that. Guys, be as civilized as possible. But also be ready. Because your enemies might be on your door. But guys, me, I'm crazy. You might think I'm crazy. I'm always thinking, what if one day our country gets invaded? What if one day my neighbor is a crazy guy who wants to kill me? I'm always thinking like that. My whole thing is defense. Now I don't externalize it. Now I remember I was watching Mall Cop, Kevin James, one of my good friends actually came to train at TriStar. Very great guy. Kevin James, funny, hilarious actor. I was watching his movie Mall Cop 2, and he's like an over-the-top security guard, and every time his daughter leaves the house, she's got to have her mace and her passcode. Like, she's got to have like defense to the teeth. And it's ridiculous, and it's funny, and it's a comedy, and I love it. It's hilarious. I'm a bit like that, but I do it to myself. I don't externalize it because I know I'll sound weird. But I absolutely always think about safety and defense. Always. Tomorrow, peacetime will end. And you better not have gone soft. Guys, that's a warning for all of you out there. Stay strong, stay ready, stay hardcore. Don't get fat, lazy, and out of shape. It'll kill your love life. And two, it'll eat you up as a man. It'll eat you up as a man that you can't defend yourself. Get in shape. Learn how to defend yourself. There's an intrinsic value. There's a great feeling of well-being. Doesn't matter how much money you have. Money's good too. Don't get me wrong. You got to pay your bills. You got to put food on the table. You got to provide. Remember I said it's provide and protection. Provide and protection. Those are two major elements. There are more to being a successful man. But these are two major elements. I don't care how woke the people around you are. Don't ever sleep on these two. Learn how to provide. Learn how to defend. Stay in shape. Don't ever go soft. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what your level is. Improve your level. I don't care how rich you are. Get richer. I don't care how strong you are. Get stronger. I don't care how poor you are. Get richer. I don't care how weak you are. Get stronger. Whatever it is. Ameliorate these two categories daily. Ameliorate these two categories daily. And by defend, I mean martial arts training and fitness. I don't care if you're a basketball player. Learn how to fight. I don't care if you're the greatest runner. Still learn how to fight. These two elements must always be on your mind. Always. Till the day you die. You must always have these two elements. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I enjoyed it very much. Please like, share, and comment. And I'll see you all in the next episode. Thank you.